Hello and welcome to Off the Record. Jesse, I don't turn 22 for 2 weeks, but I'm celebrating my birthday today after we're done taping this podcast.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess it is happy birthday to you. 22.
My parents caved on everything, and we're celebrating my birthday.
22
Yes.
is one of the most insignificant birthdays. I remember when I turned it.
It feels like a waste.
It's kind of like one of those ones where you're like, there's no real milestone here.
Right. You're ancient, so give me your perspective. To me, 22 is worthless. Taylor Swift has now tried to make 22 a thing with her song, and I think that may have a lasting effect on generations younger than me. But I'm not there. So all I have really left to look forward to, I think, is 23 because of what's my age again, right?
Wait. I can't believe that's the significant thing, because to me...
That's my significance.
Well, I'll tell you what my significance for 23 is that's one of the best Jimmy Eat World songs.
That too. There's a few 23 hits. To me, I think I've had this conversation seriously with a few people, and no one takes me seriously. I think I may just stop celebrating my birthday after I turn 23.
Well,
because I'm going to stop getting presents, right? And so after that...
I still get presents. I'm 37, yeah.
You get presents?
Yeah, my parents slip me some cash.
Our parents are great.
Yeah,
True supporters.
Half the show is about them, so.
I don't know. I feel like
Should we change the description to music, tech,
and our
music
parents?
Business, and our parents?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I just wonder, like, after 23, like, do I just stop until I turn 30, and then do I cry when I turn 30? I imagine you're still crying from turning 30.
I always heard that thing from people that, when people are like, oh, your 30s are your best years. I know you don't believe it, but, everything's so much easier. You just know what to do all the time. You, every decision, I read, you millennials, being like, I don't know what to do about this. All the answers seem really easy to me.
Huh.
Life's just really easy. You just do it. You do this, you do that, and that's that.
Did you help my mom pick out my birthday present this time around?
I think after that comment I made, she has not enlisted my help.
Got it. Interesting. You may be in the Jewish doghouse.
The Jewish doghouse. That you're going to get into that Lena Dunham list territory, and then we're going to get in trouble.
It's a kosher doghouse. You don't have to worry.
Don't talk about Jews and dogs. Apparently the ADL gets all over you.
But that's me.
All right, so enough with the tangents.
Enough of the tangents. That was it for this episode. Well, thank you for listening past our tangent. If you're listening live on Adobe, we appreciate your time. You can check on us to hear more from us at offtherecord.fm, and we're on iTunes, and you can leave us happy birthday show review comments and all of that. But we have a slight bit of follow-up this week, which is a few months ago, there was talk about the music industry changing the release day from Tuesday to Friday. We followed that up by confirming that it was going to start being on Fridays. And now it seems that has further been confirmed, and that the first global release date will be Friday, July 10th. I just wanted to throw that out there. I am curious, and we don't have to really talk about it too much, but I've seen a few people ponder the idea, which Jesse started talking to me about, if labels will just sort of ignore the release date. And Jesse, I think part of your commentary was it's not so much about the labels ignoring the release date, but as more music becomes independent and let's do what we want when we want it to, the release date doesn't really matter.
I think it's that, and that also, since managers seem to control this much more, that even though that the labels are the ones running the aggregating to the distributor, it seems like this is going to keep being ignored. Well,
yeah, I'm curious. I have an email ready to send to ADA, Bad Timing, and Jade Tree's distributor regarding, we had a few releases planned for July 14th. I'm not spoiling anything there. And now I don't know if it's going to be July 14th or if it'll be July 17th or July 10th, because of it's going from Tuesday to Friday. So I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of not excited, but I guess I'm going to enjoy the fact potentially that I can sort of talk about the change as it happens to me, because I'll be putting out a few releases within that 2-week span of time. We'll have real evidence.
So another bit of follow-up we have is we decided to start doing our new feature, which is #TellOTR, where we get your feedback on some of the things we discuss. And this went really well this week. I actually think some people said some things better than we discussed them.
Yes, we value your opinions.
One of the things I thought that was interesting, listener Twitter user xbrian44x said, I immediately thought of Green Day as I was listening to the podcast. Too music to digest becomes a chore, which I think is a great point, because I think of those Green Day records, and it did feel like a chore to me to like have to get through those. And if there's one thing you don't want with your big grandiose releases, for it to be like you feel like you're getting a homework assignment to listen to all of it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I was like, God, do I have to listen to the? And frankly, I failed my homework because I only listened to the first record, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't listen to the other two.
Yeah, no. I to be honest with you, I think I scanned each one, like, and I was just like, this is so bad.
Yeah,
like,
I don't even know that it necessarily needs to stop at double records as much as it's just like even like really dense records. Like, yes, it's okay to make like a crazy dense record, but sometimes like I've had this conversation with Andy from Manchester, and Simple Math to me, the band's third record, I like a lot, but I need to like, I don't just hit play on that record, but I feel happy to hit play on their other three records. But with that record, it's like, it's dense, it's heavy. I have to be like, okay, I'm going to listen to this now. This might destroy me, or it might take me a lot of headspace to listen through. And that's a good record, and it's different than like Green Day shitting out 3 bad records. But I think, you know, it can still be a thought. Like, did we make a record that's too much? Like, do you have a reason to not hit play? You know?
Yeah. And I think another of the great points that was made, and this one was by user at cmun3y, which is, I feel like sometimes double albums tend to be overwhelming at first. It takes a long time to really get into the record. I think that overwhelming thing is a big thing too, is that like one of the things we talked about in the favorite record episode, our favorite album episode, is the length of the record that we like. And I find it always very interesting that for me, I tend to get bored with records around 35 to 40 minutes, but a lot of my favorite records are longer than that, but I notice I don't listen to them all the way through. Like a great...
Do you, I was younger when this transition started to happen, but like you actually have really good perspective as a producer. When we started to go from like 14 song records to 10 song records, was that like, were you stoked on that?
I was. I think a more concise record is better. And I think one of the other hidden secrets that we should probably expand upon on another episode that bands don't get about records a lot of the time is that you should write a lot more songs than you put on your records. And I think that that's something we've not discussed much. That is a real key to making a great record and is really lost on.
Yeah, we should discuss that because every time I see a band tweet, picked the best 10 out of 45 songs, that terrifies me, but I guess you're on the other side.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I will tell you, if it is one of those things, I mean, you know what, we'll get into this on the episode we tape tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anyway, so moving on. Did we have any other good tweets from this discussion, or should we move on?
I think we can move on, but feel free to tell OTR hashtag tell OTR. If you have a specific follow up to one of our commentary thoughts that you think we should work into the show. And also, as always, hashtag ask OTR to ask Jesse what is and what is not punk. I'm seeing now that I forget what that what like the psychological term is, but now that you mentioned the term health goth to me, I am seeing it everywhere. And you know what I'm talking about? Like when you don't know something exists, and then you hear about it, and then you hear about it every other day.
I will tell you too. You know, I went on a date with my girl last night, and she was looking really health goth.
Really, I was looking health goth last night.
I mean,
I got a professional haircut for the first time.
Wait. You've never been to a barber before?
No, I have, but like I stopped. So this is a tangent, Jesse. You're either gonna let me go or you're gonna stop.
I'm indulgent because this is so ridiculous.
When I was like younger, let's say 0 to probably like 12 or something, my dad would always take me to where he got his haircut, which was like a professional place, right, in Midtown. And then we started getting haircuts in Jersey at a family friend's who is a professional haircuttress or whatever, but she hooked it up. Hairdresser, but she like hooked it up. So I've never gotten a haircut in Philly before, but my hair's been way too long and I'm about to go on a trip and all that. So my friend Eric was like, you should go to this place called Salome. So like, they'll treat you right there. I was like, all right. I was very intimidated to go get a haircut because this woman has been cutting my hair for like the better part of 10 years and I don't have to tell her anything, you know? And so they did it. I have like a real haircut, and they did the straight razor thing. What's that called?
Oh yeah,
on the back of my neck.
That's too fancy for me. That's too fancy.
It was terrifying. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, no.
You
when
ever
I
get
see those
that?
things,
The
I
straight
think
cut,
of
straight
somebody being
blade? Razor blade?
No, I don't do that. I mean, I also haven't gotten a haircut in 4 years, so.
Oh my God, 4 years.
Yeah, I mean,
This is what happens when you turn. This is what happens when you turn 30.
No, you would think I look like Rick Rubin, but it's because I shaved my own head.
Wow, I'm not coordinated enough. End of the tangent.
Yes, end the tangent. So, we're here to talk about the new hip technology the kids are using today.
Are we a tech show?
We are a tech show.
Okay. Well, to give a quick roundup to those who have been seeing in their Twitter timelines, live now, #Meerkat, #Periscope. There's an app called Meerkat that launched about 3 weeks ago that is that live streams from your phone. Currently, it's iOS only.
So let's explain how this is different than YouTube.
Okay, yeah. So Meerkat is an app, and Periscope is similarly an app where it connects through Twitter, your followers, and you hit broadcast live. And suddenly followers of yours can see what your phone is looking at. That could be you walking down the street. That could be you taking a shower as Jesse cuts his hair. That could be you at a rock show. Or it could be you drinking some beers. It could be anything. And how this is different from YouTube is that it's more, I believe the word would be ephemeral, right? Kind of similar to Snapchat in the way that it's like you watch it, and it's probably done after that. The person shooting the video has the option to save it into their camera roll, but you're meant to be watching something live. It's not like a YouTube video of you're not going to see. It's not like a YouTube video of something that was on Jon Stewart last night or a new music video or something like that. It's literally live.
Well, I saw that the features that they both have are that it saves for 24 hours if you want to.
Meerkat doesn't, but Periscope does. So you can rewatch for 24 hours. And that's actually one of the killer features of Periscope.
Yeah. I was like, when I did my little playing with it yesterday, I was liking Periscope better than Meerkat, but I'm also a Twitter addict. And that's
So, and then just to go a little bit more on the background, Meerkat launched about 3 weeks ago. It was built in 8 weeks from the ground up, which is pretty impressive. And it kind of took off at South by Southwest as a darling of South by Southwest because all the bloggers were using it. However, news started to come out that Twitter was going to launch its own app called Periscope anytime now. And they had bought Periscope a year ago and had been developing it for a year, which is obviously a lot more time than 8 weeks. And they also have the full backing of Twitter. So Periscope launched this week, and it's just way better than Meerkat.
Yeah.
For instance, like it takes you, everything's better, including the most important part. When you go in to watch someone's live Meerkat, it can take up to 30 seconds to load like the video. Periscope is just much more instantaneous. And oddly enough, like it kind of launched on the perfect day in a negative way, unfortunately. But like there was an explosion in New York this week.
Oh, I walked by it last night.
Really?
So, well, I was saying it like with one of my best friends. Like, it's really weird, and like to relate this to music. Like, you think about when you fall in love with somebody, that there's always those songs you fell in love with the person to. There's no one I know in my age group who in their 20s didn't fall in love with someone eating at Sushi Park. You're so excited that there's this place that had decent sushi that was somewhat affordable right in the middle of the village, and you could eat there. And that place is gone now.
Oh, it was there.
Yeah. It was very heartbroken to me. Like my ex-girlfriend, who's one of my best friends, it's like when I think of that place, like we fell in love, our friendship formed there, and it's exploded. It's awful.
So, yeah, there was this explosion that happened in New York and crumbled a building, and really awful. And it was the day that Periscope came out, and suddenly, like, I was watching live things of the destruction on this app. And so, like, some of the instant comparisons were like, could you have imagined this during, like, riots somewhere, during, like, all the stuff that happened in Egypt a few years ago? Like, it's a lot. It's supposed to, like, it makes us all... In some ways, there's a few parts of this app, right? It's like it can be a casual thing with friends. It could be literally giving people Like, imagine if this was a thing during Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
Like, it would have changed a lot of things, probably. We were all watching very weird and strange live streams that no one knew where it was coming from, versus like it gives the power of vision to every individual who has a smartphone, and that's powerful.
Yeah, Rachel Maddow did a great show, a monologue about this on her show last week, where she talked about like how when you have these quantum changes, so like one of the other big quantum changes this last week was Tesla coming out with that self-driving car thing. And now the world will never be the same. This is one of those moments where it's like people are going to be broadcasting. And she made the interesting point that, like, for politics, this is going to get people caught saying dumb things way more often.
Totally.
And I think for bands, too, like, you know what I think is going to be really interesting? Like, you know, like when bands do really special sets now, and everybody's going to be able to see when a band's doing something. Because you're going to be, like, let's say you're on Twitter and you hear that your dreams came true and Tom has come back to Blink-182 and he randomly comes on stage to do it. And he's sitting there singing about all his psychopathic alien stuff. You can just search on Meerkat or Periscope and find who's streaming that.
I mean, I am now live Periscoping our conversation right now, Jesse.
Are you really?
Yeah. I was just like, let's see how long it would take me to hit broadcast. And I'm already doing it. And there's 3 people. They can't hear you, but
they can hear you.
They can hear me talking about. Someone just called me a suit.
Oh.
I should show them that I'm only in boxers right now.
I got dressed to do this, but you know what I keep forgetting to mention. You know what I've been wearing through most of our podcasts lately.
What have you been wearing in our podcasts?
The Insane Clown Posse hoodie that you gave me.
Oh my god!
Because when it turns from winter to spring in that medium time, I like the studio gets a little cold, but not so cold to wear a jacket or something. And I need that hoodie, and I don't want to get my nice fashionable clothes dirty, so I put the ICP hoodie on.
Well, I need to stop this broadcast so I can tell a quick story. Jesse, many years ago at Bamboozle 2011, I was set to. Are you going to indulge me here?
Yeah.
I was set to. Through Jesse's help, through my dear friend Buddy Nielsen's help, through the help of Man Overboard, I had begun a quest to interview ICP at Bamboozle. I was very excited about it. I shared my excitement with Jesse, and then we hatched up a great idea where while I sneakily contacted ICP's manager to set up an interview. I was very polite because I didn't want to spook them. And then we transitioned to, wait, we could have Zach and Buddy from Man Overboard and Census Fail interview ICP and me film it. And it just be, and like Zach wrote questions, probably written by Jesse, and Buddy yes. wrote questions, and Buddy wrote some like legit questions. And it was time to do it. And his manager and ICP's manager canceled the interview. And I was very, very sad. To make it up to me, ICP's manager sent me a lot of ICP branded clothing, in which was like, what sized hoodie is that, Jesse?
Oh my God, like double XL.
Like it's a Juggalo sized only hoodie.
It's Midwestern size is the way I put it.
Oh wow, that's good. And I sent it to Jesse. It cost like 30 pounds to ship because that's how large it was. And he still wears it to this day, and it's probably the greatest show of our friendship.
It's true. You know, it has a pocket in the left elbow for you to hide your weed in.
No way.
It does. It's so funny. Every time I feel that, I'm like, what the fuck were they thinking when they did this?
That's so good.
Yeah, it's really hilarious.
Wow.
Okay, so we were talking about something important.
Periscope.
Yes. So let's relate this to music.
Yes.
I'm kind of I'm usually an optimistic person. I feel like this is like getting me to be the curmudgeon and really think this is going to be a really bad thing for music.
Really? I'm so excited about this.
See, one, I don't want these fuckboys holding up their phones through the whole show. I already hate that so much.
Okay, so do you think that will become more of a thing? Like,
I think that there's going to be people who are going to Meerkat Periscope whole shows.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, well, Nick Mango's article for you that he wrote this week, didn't he do that for the entire show?
He did. I was going to do it for Kevin last night, but I did not have enough service in Le Poisson Rouge.
Le Poisson Rouge.
Le Poisson Rouge. I did not have enough service, so I couldn't do it.
So one, that's annoying as fuck. For two, those like fuckboy bands that like, you know, like the ones who abuse social media all day long are gonna do the worst things with this. Like they're gonna be meerkatting in Periscope, and their fans like, we love you so much all day long. Is gonna be the worst thing ever. All those like MySpace type bands that are just annoying as hell are about to get even more annoying with this. Like, we're meerkatting us in the van on tour. Ask us anything. Ugh, I can feel the gun going.
Well, so
in my
there's
mouth
clearly
already.
like it's with any service though, right? There are the offenders, there are the ones that do it poorly. But I think
Sure.
this is really interesting. Like, I know you're too old to download Snapchat, but
I've downloaded it. I just don't use it
Right.
anymore. I
So-
kind of hate it.
so Snapchat's a really interesting service. I think I don't snap a lot of things, but I fought like I'm friends or followers or whatever of a few people and also a few companies, and it's really, I think like this and Meerkat I think are really compelling because it's for bands and frankly brands that do it right. It's kind of like I need to see this or I miss something, you know, and if bands can get it right where it's like we're gonna do something every day, and if you don't miss it, and if you don't see it during that day, you've missed out on it because that's what it is. It vanishes after 24 hours, both on Periscope and Snapchat, right? So you need to continue checking in. You need to continue to stay focused with the band or the brand or the company or whatever. And I think that's special. I think if bands can pull that off, there's a deeper connection there, and more coming back.
Well, okay. So here's my other thing is I think we're getting to an age where there's going to be content's too easy to produce, and there's going to be content overload. And like, can you really devote your life to like watching these things all the time and like get into the most menial things? Like, I think like, you know, it's an interesting thing like this, you know, we do a podcast. So there's this whole discussion of how like podcasts kind of like ours are getting a little bit more devalued because you get these high production podcasts like Startup and Serial, let's say.
Right. There's hopefully as there are more and more two white guy podcasts, there will hopefully be more produced good podcasts.
Are you calling me white?
You're so white. You shaved. You have not gotten a haircut in 4 years.
I think there's going to be a point hit where this all just becomes too fucking boring for everybody. Now, I do like the democratization that if you want to overly indulge in this stuff, it's great, and you can choose your time of who to indulge with. And I love that if you really think it's valuable to look at some band in the studio all day while I yell at them about how their guitar's out of tune, God bless you for being that much of a spectator. But when do we start to get to the point that like there's so much content that everybody's being a spectator and no one's creating anything of value? I don't know if it's going to really go that far, but this does seem like another step towards when we start to see this, that there's just too much. You know, it's like a really funny thing. Every year of my life for recent years, I would hit a point in the year at some point where I've run out of TV to watch.
Right. Yeah. I do that. That happens to me all the time.
I can't run out anymore because I'm always behind, and I'm really busy, but like there's also a thing of I think I have still the same amount of time to devote to TV, but there's so much content I want to watch now that it's hard to find the time to watch everything I want to watch.
And so are you saying that you're worried, not even worried, but just like, well, I don't have time to watch any of you bands do stuff?
Yeah, like listen.
So are you the target audience though, or is it the 17-year-old in high school who does not pay attention during class?
So yeah, sure. And part of me though thinks that's the time that you should be learning to play your instrument or learning how to create something good. And then now we're gonna be filled with more time of being a spectator. But I also think that there's a lot of people who, when you know, there's also this thing of like when you're filling the world with this content that's free and valueless. I wonder what that's going to do to paid content that's actually produced. Like, are people going to devalue the idea of like ever paying for anything when they could just watch some cheap shit that is less produced, but maybe everybody's just going to get so used to this. I wonder. I don't know what it's going to do, but I think it's going to be a very interesting thing, and I think this is a very big moment. That's what I should say.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested. I should say, like, this moment, I'm much more excited for the technology of Periscope for, like, the world than I am for music, you know? Like, I think, seriously, like, I think the best example I've been able to think of and that I've been able to read has been, like, something like Ferguson, right? Like,
Yes.
it would have been potentially incredibly changing for the ordeal.
When the riots were happening, there was people doing live streams.
Yeah, but
I was watching a lot of
right.
those.
But I think this could be a way, like, let's say there's a groundswell of users on Periscope, right? Like, that becomes the app for it, for sure. Then we're all going to be able to be much more in tune to it rather than like chasing down. Like, I was clicking on strange links during Ferguson to live stream stuff. You know,
Yes,
I was like, what am I doing here? Like, am I gonna? I don't know. But if we're all, if we're all going through one app, that could be special. And that, unfortunately,
Agreed.
Unfortunately, something like Ferguson is going to happen in the world sometime this year, probably as well. And
it's gonna happen in Indiana in the next 2 weeks after that stupid shit that just went on there.
right, there are terrible things that happen all over the world every day, and apps like this could really shine some light on those scenarios. And that's interesting to me, and that's, I think, great. For music, I don't really know. There's a lot to do, and a lot of it is meaningless. But if I can, let's just say I use Snapchat or Instagram or Periscope or whatever to show the unboxing of Bad Timing Records' next 3 vinyl releases before they've been officially announced, or the day before they've been announced, or something like that, right? Like, if we can get more people to be like, oh, I saw this and now I want it early, maybe that translates, maybe that doesn't. But I don't really know regarding music, but I'm curious, and I really like the service. And I've watched a bunch of people try it out over the past few days, and I have found it compelling. But none of those people have been music people, to be fair.
Well, what I would be curious about is if any of our listeners have a perspective on this, and if they're excited about this, or they think this is our society going to hell in a handbasket. So you can tell OTR any of your opinions and send us a. We'd love to hear what you think, but I'm really not looking forward to the person who puts their phone up in front of me at a show.
Please, also, listener, do tell OTR if you feel like Jesse's being an old man this week. So the show thing is fair, but I feel like that happens all the time anyway, and we're all like, if for like
but pictures happen, and you take a picture and then you put it down. This is having it up the whole damn time.
I guess I don't know. To me, it's like that's already a lost cause, right? I know any show I go to, there are professional photographers, and I know like I could find those photographs, and so I would imagine the other people in the room. Yeah, they are all taking photos that they'll never look at again, and I think it's just a lost cause. Though, you did see that selfie sticks got banned, right? From Coachella and Lollapalooza.
I did not see that.
Coachella and Lollapalooza, they are banned.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Yep. It's.
Did you see the people who took the selfie in front of the explosion?
I did. Did you see it on the cover of the New York Post today?
I did not, but I hope to God those people are shamed into leaving New York.
Yeah, it's the cover of the New York Post. That's why I thought we were going to have a little segment talking about the New York Post and about how we usually wouldn't want to talk about the New York Post.
This is one of the most toxic forces in New York society.
The cover today is selfies at tragic blast site, village idiots, and then their subheadline is "Say Sleaze." Pretty good.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Pretty good, right?
Every once in a while they get a good headline in there.
I'm cool with selfie sticks. I just am not. I think they're dangerous at festivals.
Oh, awful. Moving on. So, a band I've worked with called Forever Losing Sleep wrote in something that I think a lot of our musician listeners would like a perspective on. They're presently doing really well with their new record. It's very high up in the rankings on Bandcamp, and they wanted to capitalize on this by writing to a label. They wrote to me and they wanted some input on a letter, and I figured you and I could dissect this letter and talk about this. I think, interestingly, you had a writer write a really good piece for you this week about how to approach people in the music business. Maybe you talk about that first, then we go through this.
We have an ongoing monthly series on the site called Get Schooled that is written by Jamie Coletta, who's a publicist at Side One Dummy and a good friend of mine. She is, in my mind, writing the gospel currently. These are all things that I think about every single day for 5 years, and I get too angry to write them. and she's really good at writing them in an enjoyable.
She's doing a great job,
and it's helpful. It's not putting anyone down. It's like it balances between funny, snarky, and legitimately educational for bands and I think readers. And it's been going really well. And I seriously look forward to reading it every month. It's so good. And so her article this week. If you just Google Property Zach Gets Schooled, you'll find it. But it's how to approach the industry without driving them absolutely insane. And so there's sections about crafting the perfect cold email pitch, which is what we're about to get into, right?
We should explain. A cold email is writing to somebody that you have never talked to before and trying to introduce them to your music.
Right. And
which I think we would both agree is 9 times out of 10 a very lost cause, even if you write the best email.
Agreed. But what you should always try not to do is try not to make a fool of yourself in that email, whether that's spelling the person's name wrong. If you're emailing Property of Zach, don't say absolute punk because you just emailed 10 people and you got confused on one of them. Happens all the time.
Yeah, because then I look at your band name and I go, oh, God, these morons are contacting me.
Right. At least if you're somehow going to get someone's attention a year later, don't for some reason make them remember that you were an idiot a year ago, I guess. Right.
Yes. So I think that's the key is if you're going to do this practice, which is usually a lost cause, and you could be spending your time. I wrote a whole book that argues instead of doing this, that you should be trying to get fans to do this work for you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's basically the premise of my book is that what you want to do is you want to get fans talking about you so much that the labels take notice, because that is what they do, are the label, the booking agent, the manager. That's really the thing you should be doing. But if you're going to do this, let's talk about what this should look like. So the first thing with this letter is it's 3 paragraphs long, and I'd say about 15 sentences.
Jesse, I can't read anything. I don't know how I'm going to read this much. I have to scroll down, up and down on the Google Doc to get up and down it.
Oh my, yeah. I mean, it is true. You should never, 2 small paragraphs are the longest this should ever be.
You want to be, and so I've now seen this in a lot of ways, through the site, through management, through the label. Jesse's seen it through his site, through his book stuff, through being a manager, a producer, a podcaster, right? Like we've seen them all, good and bad and somewhere in between. And unfortunately, if an email is 7 block paragraphs, you don't stand a chance, because I don't even stand a chance to make it through. If Thomas sends me an email that long, I'm telling him to go screw himself.
True. This is too long of an email.
Yeah, you're not trying to write a 5-paragraph essay.
Mm-hmm. So concise is the first thing.
Yeah.
So let's get into the content. So the letter says, "Hey, my name is Joe, and I sing in a band. I sing in and manage a band called Forever Losing Sleep from New Jersey. We formed in September of 2012, and since then we've played 150 plus shows, completed 7 2- to 3-week-long East Coast tours, and played multiple festivals up and down the coast. So far, so good. One of the first things you want to do is say, hey, I've been doing this. Here's an exceptional detail about how hard we work. Great way to start off. Then it goes downhill a little. We released our first full-length titled I Lost Myself Again on October 14th of 2014, which was mastered by The Lodge, brand new, Against Me and the Foo Fighters, and many more. Here's where I think we go downhill.
Okay.
I'm a mastering engineer, and I will tell you, who mastered your record and putting their credits is the stupidest thing you can do, because every business person in the music business knows that mastering engineers, one, don't discern whether all you have to do is have money.
Right.
Yeah. All you have to do is have money, and we do it. The only time I've ever turned down mastering a record was when it had a racist song, and I sent the band the money back.
Right. Because you can still do your job, and frankly, the record doesn't have to be good or bad or whatever to do your job of mastering it, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's really we're just tilting treble and bass and trying to make it loud.
Right.
So this is ridiculous to put those names on it. The only other thing that's more ridiculous than this is putting down the bands you've opened for, especially when you say you've opened for a band when you played a festival and you were on the side stage in the parking lot and you're claiming that you opened for this band.
Yeah, don't do that.
End of that rant.
Yeah, so you want to keep going down it?
Yeah, so they go on to say, we're currently number 1 on the emo, post-rock, post-hardcore, screamo, indie rock, and ambient charts in Bandcamp, as well as number 5 on the indie chart, number 8 on the rock chart. This is all great, and this should be probably the second sentence after the sentence right after you say who you are.
Yeah, that would be a legitimate reason.
Like that might make me listen to a band, right?
Yeah, or it may tell you that the someone could like this. But yeah, depending on depending on the person you're emailing, it's like, oh, this could be a successful band. Someone likes it. I could sign this to my label. I could manage this. I could whatever. Like there are reasons there.
So within the first month of releasing the record, we had over 1,000 downloads, over 10,000 listens. I'm banning people. In the past month, we've had 8,000 listens and 600 downloads, and the numbers just keep going up. So this is a little too much numbers for me. This is part of like what you could do, and like. When we talk about this email being concise, this is part of what you do is you sit there when you get done with the email, you write it long, and you say, how can I say what I'm saying in a faster fashion so this thing is not intimidating to read and the person doesn't want to hit delete?
Yeah. Did you know that there's a punk band called Costanza?
I think I did know that.
Their album is #1 on the punk charts of Bandcamp currently, and it's called Discography. And I am ready to go into this later. But so what Jesse was saying, you have to write everything that you want to say out. It can be 50 paragraphs long. Write it all out, whatever you want to say, and then realize, like, take a step back, put yourself in the shoes of who you're writing to, and when they receive that email. You may be writing to them because they're important, because they're successful. If they're important or successful or busy, they're busy, right? So does that person have time to read through your 5 to 10 paragraphs? The answer is probably no, right?
This is true. So their next paragraph is, we plan on pushing ourselves harder than ever this year. We're on track to play close to 100 shows. We have a 4.5-week U.S. tour booked this July-August with Arrows and Her, who are on Brooklyn World Media. Another extended tour of the fall being planned out, as well as a 3 to 5 day tour booked for every month in between the more extended tours. We have a music video by Michael O'Connor, The Saddest Landscape, Things Fall Apart, and many more in pre-production due to be released in April. And we'll also be releasing 2 songs on a split with a band called A Film in Color later on this year. This is all good, but it could be said faster yet again.
Right.
The next paragraph says, as you can see, we have lots of things going on this year. We've concentrated so much more as a short period of time all on our own. That's why I'm reaching out to you. This is more that you could trim away. We love and appreciate label name. So this is the other thing that I think that's very important. When you're writing to this label, it is worth putting a sentence or two of saying why you have a kinship with this label or management or one of their bands.
Right.
Like, I often say that the most important thing to do with that, if you want to do letters like this, is that you get a band on that person's label that you're friends with to send this to them and say, hey, this band's really good. You should check them out.
Yeah.
But you really, if you're going to do one of these, you want to say, like, if I was writing to Zach and I was in a band, I would say, hey, Bad Timings released a bunch of my favorite records this year, and I would really love to be a part of what you guys are doing because I believe in it.
And then I'd get a serotonin hit from Ego.
Yes.
And I would maybe check it out. But so there's nothing, the things inherently wrong with this email are fixable.
Yes.
There's clearly some points of success. You've played shows. You have work ethic. You're somewhat aware, at least probably aware of the community around you. These are all good things. So I'm still right now on the Get Schooled article from this week, and I'm going to read out the 4 points that Jamie suggested that you need to craft the cold pitch email. Introduce yourself and your band. Mention where you're from. If it's a small town in the middle of nowhere, say that. 2, state what you're looking for immediately. 3, give me a little background on your band, but not too much. Here's where you can really spark someone's interest if you're slick enough. And 4, provide a streaming link for audio and 1 to 2 YouTube videos if you have them. And that, I think that's all accurate. And Jamie hinted at it a few times. Be immediate, be quick, don't ramble. It's really easy to kind of pad your sentences when you're nervous about who you're emailing, right? Just be short. Don't be brief, rather, right? And don't make someone not read your email because it's too long. Don't lose the opportunity for someone to click your music link because you emailed them too many words.
I think that is all really, really good points.
And one more thing, please, for the love of God, do not attach songs to me.
Yeah. Ooh.
Do not attach me 15 songs that are all 20 megabytes That wouldn't be a thing. Don't attach to me 3 songs that are multiple megabytes. Give me your Bandcamp link. Why don't you have, if you're attaching me songs, why don't you have a Bandcamp link? That's bad.
Yeah.
If you want to say, like, here's my Bandcamp link, I have new demos that I'd love to send you if you're interested. Don't include the demos. Just say you've got new demos, and maybe I'll want to hear them. You know, like, just don't bog down the email.
On a related note, something I've been wanting to say on this podcast for a long time. If you use WeTransfer or Hightail or Mediafire to send me things, I fucking hate you.
I'm cool with Mediafire in 2015 is a joke.
Yeah.
Like, how is it existing?
I don't know, but you know what's insane to me is that there's sometimes professional people who use these services who make money.
Well, most people use WeTransfer, man. WeTransfer is a thing.
WeTransfer is the least offensive of them, but it's still
Hightail's a thing too. One of your dear friends uses Hightail.
Hightail, and I've lectured him about that many a time.
Yeah, and they're password protected Hightails, and I'm like, come on, son.
Yeah, and at that Hightail, you have to click each download separately, and it takes the person on the other end so long to do this. It's an insult to somebody else's time.
Mm-hmm.
Use Dropbox or use Google Drive or get the fuck out. So, with yet again one of my cranky rants down.
It's been 3 weeks now, Jesse. When do we just decide that this is who you are?
You know, I feel like when the first 40 some odd episodes of this podcast, I was usually bright and cheery unless we talked about Taylor Swift or 5 Seconds of Summer.
You want to talk about One Direction, the dude leaving? Would that make you happy?
You know, I'll tell you, I have a theory. I think the girlfriend was whispering in his ear, going, "You're the Justin Timberlake. You're the Justin Timberlake," but really, he's the JC.
Huh. Okay.
Let's be honest here. I'm just saying.
You know more about this situation than me, so.
I'm saying I think that's how it's going down.
So we have a few questions this week. As always, you can tweet #AskOTR and we'll answer them. So the first question about Health Goth this week is from Logan. A bit of a strange question for you guys. What do people in bands do about jury duty? Mostly involving the fact that they tour throughout the whole year and have tours booked in advance. Is this ever something they even worry about? Do they, Jesse?
I've seen people get away with deferring. The interesting thing is a lot of that will come into a related question. A lot of people that I've known in bands have felonies on their record, so then they can't do jury duty.
Is that a thing? I did not know that.
Here's a fun fact. I got convicted of a felony before I was 18. And so I used that to get out of jury duty for a while, but then they figured out that I was bullshitting and I had to start going to jury duty.
I was going to say, before you just said that I would imagine that you're one of the people that loves jury duty. But I was also conflicted in saying that.
You are exactly right that I love.
I could see it in two ways. I could see you hating all the people, but also loving that you get to hate all the people. I could see you being able to be like, yeah, of course I am involved in America's future and decisions.
I love civic. I mean, I go to community council meetings. Like, I love that type of stuff.
This is your thing. They created it for you.
But here's the other thing about it is lawyers don't want people like me on the jury.
No, you're terrible.
So I never get chosen. Because the thing is when I think something's right, I'm going to convince the other jurors. I'm never going to stop it. I'm going to be the person who makes the jury get hung. That, and when they also ask if I believe in God and say I'm an atheist, they usually just throw me out.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's the thing,
so
too.
What if I say I'm a health goth? Will I be thrown out?
I think they're just going to be really confused about this guy's a creep. He's got to go.
I was asked to be jury duty-ized last summer, but I can get out because I have school.
I didn't know that was a thing, too.
Jesse, I start my last semester tomorrow.
Wow. It's going to be so crazy.
Remember when you knew me when I was in high school?
I do. I mean, you're growing up so fast.
They grow up so quick.
Yeah, I mean, wow. So anyway, I think that's the thing is you defer and then you tell them what month you're around and they'll usually schedule you for it. You can say you're traveling out of the country. They'll often ask if to see the plane ticket to know for sure. I got away with getting out of jury duty forever. And one of the times I got away with it because I was living in Chico, California.
Chico. Strange place out there.
I love that city.
Yeah.
9 to 1 female to male ratio.
Really?
Dude. Come on. Oh yeah, it's great. I had a great time.
Nookie.
No, that was not for the Nookie.
That
was Saves the Day sound the alarm. I was out there for.
Not for the Nookie. Different California Nookie experience.
Yeah. So the next question is for me. It says, do you have any recommendations for a midline turntable? I currently have an Audio-Technica LP60 and looking to upgrade soon. Well, coincidentally, I wrote an article for Zach about this.
It's called... I actually forgot what it's called.
I don't remember what it's called either. But we'll put the link in the show notes. And but yes, I do. You should get what Zach owns, which is the Project Carbon, or what I own, which is the Musical MF 2.1.
Yeah, and the article is called "If You're Looking for a New Record Player, Here Is Your Guide" by Jesse Cannon. It has 280 Tumblr notes. It is a hit.
A hit.
And I have the Project. I love it. I have been listening to vinyl more and more lately. Jesse is going to come and visit my setup soon, and I don't know what he's going to say. I hope he says nice things about it. I'm nervous, but I recommend my setup greatly. But this article should do you well. It goes through speakers, headphones, monitor switches, record players, accessories, and listening. Jesse really nerded out on it.
Yeah. So then the next question is, what are your thoughts on bands wearing other bands' shirts and promo pics? Cred booster, tacky.
This is interesting, actually.
Yeah, you know what I always think about it, and I've often told bands this, because bands like love to do promo photos in the weird building my studio's in.
Oh yeah, it's a good promo building.
Yeah, I often say you should wear your friends' bands or the bands you want to bring up, but yeah, there's nothing cornier than wearing like the huge band that you're ripping off's t-shirt.
Right, please don't wear a Blink-182 shirt in your promo photo.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's
if you're, it's like one of the funny things with a band too is that usually in a band, like let's say there's 5 people, there's the one person who doesn't really listen to the type of music they make, and if that person listens to really corny things, like he wears the Alter Bridge t-shirt.
What's that?
That's the band that Creed became without the lead singer who went crazy.
Yeah.
They're like one of the worst bands that's ever existed. Yeah, don't wear that. I mean, if you want to be judged by me, don't wear your Taylor Swift shirt.
Yeah. Oh, I have a Taylor Swift shirt. Did you know that?
Wow, Zach.
I'm going to wear it on Monday.
Oh, jeez.
I'm definitely going to wear it on Monday.
You're gonna really make me crazy on that episode.
I'm gonna pick Jesse up in my car, and I'm gonna be in a Taylor Swift shirt.
Oh man!
But the band shirt thing is interesting. I actually have a manager that managed a band on Bad Timing that we recently had new promos for, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't usually like my bands in band shirts at all, but this is okay." So I think up to a point, regardless, it's totally cool, especially as a younger band. But I think there hits a point where you're kind of like, you got to be a grown up now.
I think this is one of the worst things bands do is that when they feel like they have to be the grown up, and they like, there's nothing worse than like bands wearing suits when they don't wear like suits, and like, or like, but even like dressing up and like being like, here's my one good outfit that I can afford. Like, come on, son. It just looks so dumb when bands try to do that.
Yeah. I didn't mean like you got to go from more than anything.
I think you should wear what you wear on stage.
Yes, I agree. Actually,
I think that's the key: is be yourself, because it looks tacky when you're not yourself.
So I shouldn't wear my Blink shirt, though, is what you're telling me.
I don't think you should wear. If you and I had a band and you showed up with your Blink shirt, I'd be like, come on, dog, wear a band that's more underground.
Dude, I have seasonal Blink shirts though.
Oh my! Geez.
I have a St. Patrick's Day Blink shirt. I have a Thanksgiving Blink shirt. I have a Christmas Blink shirt. I have a 4th of July Blink shirt.
So I guess for me, I have 3 New Order shirts.
Okay, wait. So these are just normal shirts, though, right? Like they're not like seasonal shirts.
Yeah, they're just T-shirts. Right. I have a black one. I have a gray one. I have a white one because I got to rep. I got to rep one of my favorite bands, New Order, and they have good T-shirt design.
That's fun. But this is the difference between us. All I own are band shirts.
Yeah,
and I own probably like 10 brand new shirts, like 10 Blink shirts.
Wow.
Through Man Overboard. I assume I could wear Man Overboard shirts just from accumulating them over time for ages. All I have are band shirts. I have so many Glamour Kill shirts. Like, I just It's great. I don't have
Wow.
to shop, you know?
Wow.
I bought a
That's
beanie recently.
Wow. I've never owned one of those.
It's going well with my new professional haircut.
I just can't wait to see.
Thank you. My mom doesn't like it.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. It's really
That's
causing.
bad. But how's your girlfriend feel about
She
it?
feels okay. I'm visiting. I'm going from 25 degrees New York to 90 degrees West Coast this week, and she's interested. It was her idea, so she doesn't really get much slack if she hates it.
So the next question is, I'm a musician who is working as a solo artist, but I've always played in bands, so I'm nervous about going solo. Pros or cons of both? Well, the cons of going solo is it's usually terrible.
Real talk from Jesse Cannon.
Well, I think there's a thing that is very understated, and I think we've talked about this a little before, is that the other members of your band are there to be your bouncing board, and very few people, like I say this to people a lot, that one of the things that's overlooked about Albert Einstein's genius is when we call him a
this is
genius.
going to be terrible.
This is great. Is that when we call him a genius, Albert Einstein knew that he wasn't the smartest person about things, but what he did is he found people who are experts about things. Incidentally, one of my recommendations is I'm reading that book, what is it called? Inventing Steve Jobs?
Yes. Have you started?
Yeah, I started
Becoming Steve
yesterday.
Jobs.
Becoming Steve Jobs.
I haven't started it yet, but
And it's a very similar thing they say about him in the book, is that like Steve Jobs knew when he wasn't an expert about something, so he'd go and find an expert. Hence why he hired Johnny Ive.
can I correct you?
Go ahead.
Johnny Ive was hired when Steve was ousted from the company, and
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Steve Jobs was going to fire all the designers when he came back to the company, and he decided to spare Johnny Ive's life, and then they had a beautiful friendship and relationship
Yes,
after.
you're totally right. Well, so he still goes to Johnny Ive,
Yes,
though.
yes, they
That's the great point.
had an incredibly deep relationship creatively.
Yes. So I think that's the biggest con, is that a lot of times solo music isn't made well. And you see all these solo artists running to different producers because they're really trying to get that objectivity you get from having a band.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a really good point of view, actually.
Yeah, I've been down this road a lot. I mean,
I'm going solo.
well, have fun with that. What will you do without my bad attitude?
I'll be happy.
Pros of it?
You could try to bring back acoustic songs now that Dashboard's back. That's
You
it.
could, yeah. I'm not feeling too good about this here.
Acoustic songs are hard, huh? Like, I realized it when Tom released his acoustic song from his Blink demos, and I was like, it's so hard to write like a good acoustic song.
Well, so you want to know the hidden secret about this too? So you think about like Radiohead, and like especially even like post OkCupid Radiohead, or not OkCupid, OK Computer. At the core of those weird songs, if you picked up any of those songs and just played it on an acoustic guitar, it's a really good song. Just with chords alone, it sounds phenomenal. And I think that's one of the things people forget is what makes going solo acoustic hard is that it has to actually be a really good song. You can't dress it up with all the production and all the tricks that we use to manipulate people into thinking these are good songs.
Yeah.
That makes the game a little harder. And, your voice is naked. You're sitting there and, there's not much to disguise.
You can't fake it anymore.
It's true. And, also the auto-tune shines a lot more on solo acoustic stuff.
Would you use auto-tune on my voice, Jesse? Can you just plop auto-tune on my voice right here at this very moment?
You want to know something no one wants to hear?
Yeah.
Either of our weird voices sing.
Okay. And for our last question this week, what are the steps that one would take to find out if his or her criminal record would interfere with them being able to tour in other countries? Tough question.
So I've been down this road.
Yes.
A certain member of a certain band I used to manage had a nice little felony on his record that led us to a lot of trouble. And what you have to do is you have to consult that government. If you Google, let's say, traveling to Canada felony, it's going to tell you exactly where to contact, and they're going to tell you everything you need to do with what you did to do this. We ended up getting his record expunged so that he was able to do it. We were very lucky that his mother was born in Canada, so he was able to go to and from much easier.
It's tough. You really got to do the legwork. You cannot take it even a little bit on chance, because are you about to spend $1,000 to take it on a ticket to go to Europe and actually spend like $5,000 if all band members are going, and then to get turned around? Like, don't do that. You really got to make sure.
Yeah. Contact the appropriate people. I don't know whether it's the embassy or the government that does in each country, but if you just Google that, people have this problem every day. There's websites devoted to what you do for this. Just do that.
Yes, just do that.
So we have some recommendations this week.
Oh, yeah. I'll recommend a few things, and then you can recommend something that confuses me. Okay. I saw Kevin Devine play his last show of tour last night in New York City. It was very lovely. Continue to check Kevin Devine out and all his lovely Bad Timing Records releases. I'll recommend the new Death Cab for Cutie record that Jesse will laugh at.
I will recommend you don't waste your time on that terrible
record. I think it's currently my album of the year.
What?
Really love it. Deeply love it.
I want to know where are you getting the crack that you're smoking?
Have you listened to it? Have you listened to it?
Yeah, I listened to the stream with a few songs. I got 3 songs that I couldn't take it.
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's similar to Plans in a lot of ways, and I really like it. Also, just since I was scrolling through my iTunes, Jake from Modern Baseball has a little side project called Slaughter Beach. They're fun songs, and you can check that out too.
I have a serious intellectual recommendation, as I was saying. Becoming Steve Jobs, I think, is a very insightful book. I'm actually enjoying it more than I enjoyed the Steve Jobs biography, which is a book I really enjoyed.
Did you know that is currently regarded as a horrible book?
And well, it's really funny that how when it came out, people were like, "This is a great book," but Apple people, I feel like they really did a PR push that was a terrible book. Because everybody loved that book when it came out.
Yeah, and they're highly recommending this. They've thrown all their weight behind it.
Yeah,
really interesting.
I think that's really weird because I kind of feel like it's like almost a revisionist history. Because people, when that book came out, people were losing. I mean, I would call it one of the, like, if you told me I could only recommend 20 books, that would be in there.
Yeah.
But this is seeming like it's better. It's really, really good so far. I'm only about an hour into listening to it.
Oh, so you're listening?
I only listen.
God, interesting. Because I bought it. I think I'm also, like, I bought the iBook, but I think I'm gonna actually just do the audiobook because I'm gonna be riding on some planes and in the van soon.
Yeah, I will confess my dirty little secret, which is that while I read, quote unquote, read 2 to 3 books a month, I really do them all listening. I have a long commute each day, and then I have a lot of silent work to do during the day. My other recommendation, which is much more lowbrow, is the show Walk of Shame Shuttle. I think it's the funniest show that reality TV has ever produced.
So when you tweeted this, I imagine you walking home or from the studio, getting out of like Port Authority on one of those small buses and like just seeing a lot of Walk of Shame. So that's what I pictured in my head.
Oh, no. It is a show where they interview people about their sexual experience the night on their way home the next day. And it is just so funny. It's great.
Well, thank you for listening to Off the Record this week. If you're listening on Adobe, please feel free to also convert yourself to subscribing to us on iTunes or your podcast client of choice. You can keep up with us at offtherecord.fm. Jesse is on at Twitter at Jesse Cannon, and I am at Zzarillo. Thank you, and we'll be back next week.